Hey guys, welcome to the Top Percentile. My name is Anay Dave, and today's video is about why you are not able to score in the mock, even though after the mock you are able to solve it very fast, or you'll be able to solve the same question in practice. This is something that happens to each and every one of you. I think each and every one of you would be guilty of at least a few questions that you miss out on because you are just not in the right zone. I'll start off by giving a few reasons as to why I think this happens, and I think it's a pretty comprehensive list. If it's not, please drop it in the comments and I'll try to solve that part of the question. But usually, this is why I think people go wrong. And once I'm done laying this out, I'll tell you how to go about it, followed by an anecdote about how I resolved this problem when I was facing the same issue during my time in CET 2020. And just a background, I'd scored 99.99 in CET 2020 and an All India rank of 9. So I have been through this process. I've taken 63 mocks. I've done a lot of prep. And with less than 30 days left for CET 2022, it is very important that you listen to this video and make use of each and every point and each and every sentence that we are uttering in all our videos, because we are making this only because it's useful to you. And we want it to have the most benefit and just to enable you to reach that point of efficiency where you solve and you create the best outcome possible for you in the next 25 or 30 days that are left now, right? So starting off with the four reasons, rather the three reasons that I have today. The first reason being that you are unable to face time pressure, or you end up having anxiety as to with the time flowing down. There's countdown timer in the CET exam, and you are wondering, will I be able to do this? You are not used to a countdown timer being there. It leads to anxiety. You tend to forget formulas. You tend to go away, deviate from the plan that you are following. You tend to think more about time, and you're not used to solving questions under time. This is the first type of problem that I face in this. The second part would be worrying about mock scores. Lots of people tend to focus on mock scores to an extent that when they are taking a mock, they are thinking, "Mera JB hoga ki nahi? Am I going to score a 140? Am I scoring a 150? Mera 100 cross hoga ki nahi?" You might think that the mock is going so bad कि यार यहाँ पे तो 50 marks ही नहीं आ रहे मुझे, मैं JB कैसे जाऊंगा, मेरा 150 होने नहीं वाला है. And while taking the mock, you end up becoming so inefficient that वो mock में जो where he could have scored 100, वहां पे तो 40 भी नहीं आते या 50 भी नहीं आते, because वो किया ही नहीं उतना effort और वो mock में किया ही नहीं उतना सारा. And this is why you need to focus. Like, this is where I'll talk about what your strategy to mocks should be, what your outlook has to be towards mocks. The third point over here is just plainly the inability to focus or to concentrate while taking mocks. This is plainly obvious. You are just not in the right zone. You are not in the right zone to take a mock. You are not willing to put in the effort. You're not willing to focus and give it your all when you are taking the mock. And these are three main reasons why I think people tend to leave this gap between their score and potential score that they could have got at the end of it. This also, another reason obviously would be making silly mistakes. With silly mistakes is kind of like, it is a factor of just not being able to focus or just worrying about it too much, or again the time pressure. So let's focus on these three main buckets. We'll have a separate video on silly mistakes and how to reach potential scores, but to be very honest, we'll be just putting the same points in different highlights over there, and that's how that video is going to be. But starting with the first point, time pressure, mock anxiety, or all this part of it. Usually this happens because you haven't taken mocks with time pressure. Either you've not taken mocks with enough time pressure, or you've not solved questions with a timer running. Personally, I used to solve questions and I used to have a timer running at all times. My mom also used to tell me this. We used to write down numbers, and my sister also used to help me do this. She used to do this, so I also used to do it. Whenever I used to practice questions, I used to write down how much time it's taking me, and that helped me in estimating how much time it's taking and how much or what difficulty level the question was, and think about how difficult the question was, right? This same thing would happen in mocks, and because I was used to doing or estimating how much time it will take, or knowing how much time the question is going to take, I would automatically be much faster in exams, and I knew what the estimate was in that exam as well, in the mock as well. So there has to be that continuous thing, right? You need to constantly practice with a timer. You need to take mocks with timer. I've taken 63 mocks in my year for CET. I've taken more mocks for NMAT, SNAP, etc. before CET happened. So I've taken almost 70 to 80 mocks without doubt. I think I've taken 20 for NMAT and 5 for SNAP. So that's directly 25 added to 63. So you're at around 88 to 90 mocks, including everything else. And that is all with the timer, right? So you're taking everything with the timer. And if you've not done this, that's what you have to do. You do either practice mock sectionals or practice questions, do all of it with the timer. do puzzles with the timer, do DI questions with the timer, do RCs with the timer. Everything has to be time oriented, and notice where you're taking time. Once you get used to a timer running, you will realize that there is something that is pushing you to perform faster and faster. There is pressure again and again. And this thing, what happens over here is that when you realize there's a timer running, you see that 150 is there, now it's 140, you've solved only 5 questions so far. You should have solved 15 so far, but you've done only 5. Then that thing kicks in that, oh, I've not done enough, let me do more. Then you try to do more, but then you end up doing lesser. And this anxiety is a very common thing, but you have to get ahead of it by practicing and constantly knowing how much you can do and what is the best you can do and how to reach that point. And that is something that you do iteratively follow and focus on by focusing on what you are doing and do it yourself, right? That is one thing. And just keep revising your formulas. I think one place where it matters a lot, anxiety kicks in, and then you're thinking, अब formula भी याद नहीं है, क्या हो रहा है, ये कैसे solve करते थे, आ रहा नहीं है, वो होता नहीं है. But that's the idea, right? You want to be comfortable with uncertainty. You want to be comfortable being uncomfortable in this. You want to create that level of comfort even when it's not there. The first point of time pressure has to be done by practicing more and more. You solve more mocks, you solve more practice questions, you keep doing this, that's where it helps. The second point was about worrying about the mock score. And we have said this time and time again at the top percentile. Each of us keeps saying this. Mocks are more like a stepping stone to how you can do better. It is not a decision of where you are and how your final paper is going to be. You can score 100 in mocks and get a 140 on the final day if you do really well and you are in the zone. Your last mock score can be 100 and final day 140. Your last few mocks can be 160s and you can get a 120 on the final day. You never know what happens in the last day. Your mocks do not decide where you are going to be. You cannot go to JBIMS saying that, oh, I've scored 180 in a mock, I've got rank 1 in a mock, give me admission. That's not how it works. So mocks are only a stepping stone to how you can do better. And your score is just a way to calculate where you stand versus everyone else, or versus yourself, and versus the paper. I have mentioned this in the video about percentiles versus rank and about predicting your CET score. So if you see our videos here, if you see my videos on the channel, I'll try linking in the description as well. So if you see this video, you will realize how I see it and how we encourage you to see it at the top percentile as well. If you're seeing it that way, you will not have the pressure of scoring high in mocks. You'll be taking mocks just as a way to realize what your weakness is, and you'll be analyzing mocks in that way as well. So that is my advice to how you should be tackling the second part of it. The third part of about not being able to focus and not being able to, extract the maximum thing of where you are and what you can do. I'll be making a separate video on mock and on how you should be taking mocks, what I used to do. In short, I used to make sure that I used to listen to music beforehand. So I used to listen to M.M.S, Tom Petty. I love a lot of rock and roll, so I listen to a lot of those 80s rock music, which kind of gets you going in the flow. Even when I'm solving math, I used to listen to music, and I used to listen to a lot of guitar solos and lots of drum fills, etc. I love metal, so that's another thing that got my brain juices flowing. I used to practice math questions before going, and if I didn't do these things, I would not feel I was up for it. I would not feel that I was up for an exam, and I would not be able to take it. If I had not done it on the final day, I know I wouldn't be able to do it, perform the same way that I used to otherwise. So when you're taking a mock, I want you to have a ritual as well, and I'll explain this in further detail in that video. So stay tuned to our channel to figure out how to get more help on how I go about this entire thing and how I did it myself. But the idea is that you need to create a routine that you go through each and every time when you're recording, when you're doing something. Every time you attempt a question, you have to attempt a mock. You have to do that because that's how you increase your focus and you concentrate better. There is meditation. There are a lot of things you can do. You can increase your awareness and do things better. And that's what I suggest you to do if you are unable to focus. And it's very obvious realizing that you're not able to focus because when you're taking a mock, you're thinking of other things. You're thinking of random things that you shouldn't be thinking of. But when you're taking a mock, the only thing you should be able to think of is the question that's in front of you, whether you should be attempting it at that moment, whether you should not, or how you can do it as fast as possible. And talking about how fast these things are possible, how fast you can solve questions, if you don't know, we have a top percentile course available, and this is mainly meant for the last few weeks of CET. We have a flash sale going on. You can get it at around 3,500, and this is the most discounted price you can get it at. We guarantee you that this is going to be worth your time and the money that you put in. So please trust us with this. We have 13 toppers in JBIMS, and 13 out of 158 students is a big deal. And I mean, it's the cheapest price, right? We have 4 weeks of mentoring also available. Just join us on those sessions. You can talk to us directly, ask us these questions in depth. We'll go on further and further. These mentoring sessions are usually an hour long, but they tend to be 2 hours long because we tend to ramble and we love answering your questions. So they will be longer than expected, but that's how this is. And so if you're interested, please head on to our website, the.percentile.co.in. I promise you it's going to be worth your time and effort. If it's not after CET, and if you think that we've not really helped you, you can always reach out to us. We'll resolve your queries and make sure that you feel satisfied at the end of it. But trust us, we've got great responses for our course. For the ones who have put in the effort and have used our course well, for the ones who've used it as a shortcuts course, it's not that, and we don't promise you shortcuts. We promise you ways of doing better and solving and reaching to a better point better, right? Reaching a better score in a better way. Now, coming to the anecdote that I mentioned about where I had solved and how I'd done it better. In 2020, I think January of 2020, I'd gone to IMS. I wasn't a student of IMS, but I'd taken their mocks, and I was very close to Shashank sir and Prasad sir. And they are gods of CET test taking, right? So they have scored. Prasad sir is an alumnus of JBIMS. Shashank sir has scored multiple 99.99s in CET. He scores 170 where we score 140. I mean, that's how he is. And I'd gone to meet them once, and before I went to meet Shashank sir, he had taken me to Vinayak sir, who was the national head at IMS at that time. And I think Shashank sir just took me there so I get introduced to people. And, it's always good speaking to mentors, right? And that's what we are offering in the top percentile as well. And, we want to do that. But Vinayak sir was really sweet. He was one of the nicest guys I've met. I mean, everyone at IMS is great. And we had met them. I'd met them and I'd spoken to him about this exact thing that, I score around 120, 130 in IMS, but when I take it, I get around 140. I could have got around 140, just not at the peak. And he had mentioned this thing that, Anand, you need to stop giving yourself excuses. You need to stop giving this excuse. You need to stop thinking of a mock question as a paper and a mock. A question is a question. If I give you a question at 3 a.m. in the morning, which is when I'm recording this, by the way, if I give you a question at 3 a.m. in the morning, or if I give it to you at 4 a.m. or 4 p.m. or any time in the day, you should be able to solve it with the same vigor and the same enthusiasm, with the same method that you would otherwise, be it a mock, be it something else, or be it a practice question, or be it a sectional, right? Wherever you are, you have to solve it with the same enthusiasm, with the same rigor, with the same method, and solve it with the same efficiency. If you give yourself excuses that यार 3 बजे थे, mock में pressure बहुत ज़्यादा था, ये कैसे करूँ, मुझे पता नहीं था, freeze हो गया मैं paper में, it is not going to go. Ever since that day, ever since he told me this, I got a reality check that, oh, there are people who just solve questions for questions. And I tend to be a little loose on myself, tend to give myself excuses and tend to be like, yeah, theek hai, ab nahi hua tha, kya kare? That's not fine. I am trying to be what Vinayak sir was to me. And I'm trying to say this to you guys that just make sure that excuses are not excuses and you're working on each and everything that you're trying to do. There is no room for excuses in the last 30 days. You have to give it your best. Make sure that you give it your best. No excuses here. A question is a question, whether it is a mock, whether it's outside a mock, it doesn't matter. If you're able to solve it outside the mock, you should be able to solve it in the mock as well. There is no reason you should not be able to. So from now, if you're not able to solve a question in a mock, but you can do it later, it's a reason to wonder why you were not able to do it. And let's say it's a bad point in your career, in your preparation, that in your journey to CET, journey to JBIMS, it's a blot on your journey to JBIMS, that you've not been able to get 5 marks or 10 marks extra that you deserved. Because on the last day, if you miss out by, let's say, 2 marks or 3 marks, and I don't wish this on any one of you, but if that happens, you yourself will regret that मैंने नहीं किया था उस दिन full day prep and मैंने पूरा potential नहीं किया था मेरे वहाँ पे. And that excuse is not going to be valid, and that's not something you can live with, because this is what you're working for, and that's why we wear this. We want you guys to realize that this takes effort. It takes a lot of effort, and it takes the mentality of a champion to get there. So please be with us. Stay tuned to our channel. Be one of our students. We'd be happy to guide you even further than further than what YouTube allows us to do. But this is your sign in this world to just, do the best that you can and focus on how you can achieve the best mock score possible and get the best score in the final exam as well. We're here with you for this journey. I've rambled on for 15 minutes in this video, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But in short, practice and mocks have to be the same. Do it with a timer. Keep practicing. No excuses from now until the last day. If you want JBIMS, be tireless in your journey, think like a champion, and keep doing what you have to. Make sure you give it your best, and all the best. We'll be there at the other side of your journey as well. We'll be there to help you through. We would love to know how we've helped you across this entire period of time. Once you're in JBIMS, you'll be on our channel as well. We'd love to have you. And when you're on our channel, we would like you to feel proud that we've helped you, and not that ऐसे ही कोई YouTube का पूछ रहा है. We want you to feel that we've helped you through this journey, that you've been a part of JBIMS with us. So all the best for your journey. But yeah, if there are any questions about what I've said, please drop it in the comments below. I will be replying to each and every one of them from the TTP channel and from my YouTube account as well. So please expect a response. Obviously, ask valuable questions for faster replies. I tend to answer questions within 5 minutes sometimes, so please drop them. And yeah, I'm there to help you guys out. All the best, and see you in the next one. Bye.